Throughout the tender process, we looked at a number of solutions to obviously develop a cost-effective bid, taking into account the challenges that this project presented to us. The works are located in the Western Docks within the former Hoverport area. If you break down the link span structure itself, there's probably 5 or 6 notable structures to that, the first being the pedestrian link bridge, the winch portal, machine houses, the link span itself, the RC dolphins, 2 of those, the stern fenders and associated piles, and the fenders themselves on the Prince of Wales Pier. There was a number of challenges that were presented to us. Working over water is one of them. We had to have a safety boat on standby throughout the works, just in case anybody fell into the water. The other was the environmental issues. We couldn't let any oils or fuels or anything go into the sea. We was working under an environmental permit issued by the MMO. The third challenge for us was breaking out the concrete on the dolphins. We looked at a number of solutions to that. One was cut the tops of the pile and lifting them out with a crane, but because the pile caps were actually over 200 tonnes, the size of crane we would have needed just wasn't possible. So we looked at scaffolding them and using remote brocks to break the concrete out. This is the solution we put forward to the Port of Dover, and it's the one we went forward with throughout the works.
The first section to be demolished was the pedestrian gantry, and now on the drawings, when we looked at all the drawings and the calculations, it was coming in at 52 tonne, which was a little bit too heavy for us to use. So the engineers calculated by removing all the non-structural elements of it, i.e. the pulley systems, the walls, the floors and everything else, we could get it down to 29 tonnes. Then we turned our attention to what we called the porthole, and again this was worked out or calculated by the engineers that we could lift it in different sections. The elements to be lifted, we calculated all the weights for them, which then gave us the decision on what size crane we was going to lift and what radius we could lift it at. Once the porthole was removed and we was just down to the main link span decking, what used to be where all the coaches and the lorries used to drive over, we then stripped that of its main covering, the decking, the steel plates. And this was done by removing the bell mouth first. It was the wider part at the end where the traffic splayed out onto the boat and took it back to its main frame. Once we removed all the decking off it, then we had to cut the main steels out into manageable sections utilising the 350 from the Hoverport. So then we could crane this round onto the Prince of Wales Pier, process it further, then lift it or transfer it round into the Hoverport. Once the main link span section had been demolished, we was down to what you call the dolphins, which is the main support system for the link span. These are piled into the seabed with big lumps of concrete on top. First of all, we erected a scaffold underneath, a crash deck scaffold, which with davy netting, so once we started breaking them out, the concrete would gather on the crash deck, which we could shovel up into smaller skips and lift back onto shore. The concrete was broken out by utilising what you call brocks, they're remote control machines, so the operator doesn't ever actually sit on the machine, he actually stands next to it and he can operate it remotely. The reason for utilising the brocks for the demolition was more of a safety reason, so if there was a subsidence or a collapse of the dolphins during demolition, the machine would go but the man wouldn't. During the demolition process, we had what you call the side fenders, what was actually connected to the Prince of Wales Pier. Now these had to be cut away. The methodology for doing that was utilising the 70-ton crawler crane to sling them up, then a mobile 40-ton crane with a man riding basket, so the operative could go out and literally cut and release them, and we could lift them round into the Prince of Wales Pier.
So slightly different from your average demolition project, where we were considered to be working at height but over water. On a normal job, operatives would be working from full body harnesses with a fixed lanyard. Rescuing an operative over water can be particularly difficult, so it's found to be better for an operative to actually fall into the water and be collected by the safety boat that was employed.
On the entrance to the site there was a sign gantry. These are one of these structures we had to demolish, which we done on a Saturday, again utilising mobile cranes and hot cutting equipment. This we cut into 3 sections and lifted it down. Once the concrete dolphins had been demolished, and we was left with what we call 5 piles, what was cast into the seabed. We then employed divers to use specialist equipment to cut them at seabed. To lay them over, float them up on airbags and then drift them into the hoverport again, where we could transfer them into the loading area.
For DDS, this was a technically challenging job. Key risks were eliminated or reduced significantly, and overall the client was very satisfied with the end result. A job well done.